India's economic growth has resulted in a significant increase in consumption and production. The mammoth production needs constant use of materials. But resources are finite, and dwindling resources are bound to create an economic crisis. Between 1980 and 2016, Indian per capita income has increased 6 times. As a result, resource use is estimated to have increased 4 times in the same period. This cannot be attributed to only population growth. Per capita material usage is estimated to have increased 2.5 times. At this rate, by the middle of this century, India's annual material use is projected to reach 25 billion tons. Almost all of India's material resources are extracted domestically. While only 3% of resource use in India is from imports, several critical materials are almost completely import dependent, leaving India vulnerable to supply shocks. Today, India is extracting domestic materials at a rate of over 3 times the global average. If such intense resource extraction continues, India will deplete its domestic resources and become increasingly dependent on imports and unstable global prices. Obviously, something needs to be done, and it can be done. Resource efficiency can be defined by economic value generated by material used. The global average is much higher than that in India. India needs to increase that value. Focusing on the reduction of resource use, GIZ launched an Indo-German bilateral cooperation project in resource efficiency in 2014, together with German and Indian knowledge partners. The project is funded by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety under the International Climate Initiative. In India, the implementation partner is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Initially, a baseline study was conducted to understand the patterns of resource consumption in India and its implications. It was clear that unwise and wasteful resource use lead to scarcity that is bound to create economic crisis. On the other hand, careless exploitation of critical natural resources creates adverse ecological and social consequences, as well as increased greenhouse gas emissions. Indian industry is vast, with diversity in sectors, sizes, and resource footprints. The baseline study helped the program to focus on 2 important industries in India: automobiles and construction. These industries contribute to Indian growth and generate employment in a big way. And more importantly, the potential for these sectors to recycle, reuse, and reduce are phenomenal. India is now the 6th largest producer of automobiles in the world, providing 5% of the global production and contributing 7% of India's GDP. Employing more than 1% of India's population. India's domestic demand for automobiles is increasing at a fast rate, along with its increase in income. India is also turning out to be a global automobiles manufacturing hub for export to other countries. The industry has been growing at 14.4% annually for the past decade. Total material demand by 2030, it is expected to rise 7 times of the current demand. It will include increasing demand of 600% for iron and steel and 500% for aluminium. Automobile industry will pose serious environmental threats, and future competitiveness of the industry will be challenged. Yet, there exist unique opportunities in saving materials from component manufacturing to the end-of-life dismantling stage of vehicles. GIZ, along with few partner institutions, engaged with select players in the automobile industry.
We are one of the emerging economies, and resource use efficiency is much less than countries like Germany, South Korea, Japan. And looking at material security, especially mineral security, we have a lot of catching up to do.
The program targeted automobile production by working with medium and small-scale automobile parts manufacturers. After a series of workshops and trainings outlining resource efficiency and the sectoral possibilities, the pilot projects were undertaken.
The goal of this project is to help to exchange the information about knowledge about resource efficiency between companies in Germany and India. So our VDI Center for Resource Efficiency have collected plenty of good practice examples, especially for manufacturing sector, which can easily adapt it for the Indian industry.
For instance, one automotive pilot engaged with ADMAC, manufacturer of brake components. By redesigning the width of the metal sheets to produce brake plates, along with other processes, the manufacturer reduced the use of iron and steel.
We have saved around 5.5 ton of raw material, and overall if you see with this raw material and energy savings whatever we have done, approximately 40 lakhs rupees of amount we are able to save annually in the end of the year.
This is just the beginning. Indian automobile industry is also projected to enhance recycling of materials from end-of-life vehicles by 2020. Rapid urbanization is a sign of India's rising growth and prosperity. Millions of newcomers in the cities need their houses and infrastructure. The industry has grown at 10% annually in the last decade, providing 8% of India's GDP and its second largest employment opportunity. The extent of urbanization is reflected by housing demand in India. The demand for housing is projected to reach 770 million units by 2030. The construction sector in India is a primary resource consumer, responsible for 20% of the economy's resource consumption, which has quadrupled in a 10-year period. Some of the most important ingredients like sand, cement and bricks are extremely critical in terms of economic and ecological sustainability. On the other hand, there lies opportunity. Based on a 10-city survey, India generated 716 million tons of construction debris in 2015. The industry immediately needs interventions in terms of recovering debris, reuse, and using substitutes for critical resources. In response to this need, GIZ and few partner institutions started an Indo-German bilateral cooperation project in 2014 to demonstrate resource efficiency applicable to the demolition and construction sector.
Today, we mark the auspicious ceremony of this MOU, this agreement between Ahmedabad Enviro Projects, GIZ and Development Alternatives.
The project signed an MOU with an Ahmedabad-based company, Ahmedabad Enviro Projects, for improvement of recycling and utilization of C&D waste. The company is currently recycling demolition waste in partnership with the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation.
The collection and recycling of construction and demolition waste is a developing issue here in India, but needs still support to grow as a market. The Resource Efficiency Project is targeting to improve the utilization of secondary resources, thus reducing the consumption of primary resources and accordingly and in consequence reducing greenhouse gas emissions as well.
The program is promoting ways to reuse debris from demolished buildings to reduce the need for raw materials in new buildings. A pilot project with Ahmedabad Enviro Projects or AEP in Ahmedabad has already started producing new building materials from debris.
Keeping materials at its highest value and utility, we manufacture products like pavers, modular toilets and benches, thus completing a closed loop cycle in the construction industry.
Achieving resource efficiency through use of construction and demolition waste is a very lucrative and affordable solution. And as the new rules have already come up by Ministry of Environment and Forest, the model in Ahmedabad has to be replicated in other cities also.
New C&D waste management rules will allow the recovery of significant amounts of resources like recycled aggregates and scrap steel, as well as reduce greenhouse gas emissions. To take this work forward within these two sectors and in other sectors, there is a great need for reframing policies to encourage wider scale of resource efficiency. The program has created a national panel, the Indian Resource Panel or INRP, to help form policy objectives and mainstream resource efficiency in policies. The panel, composed of 10 eminent experts, was launched in November 2015 by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and will offer policy advice to the Government of India. India also needs to generate more economic value out of less resource. This is just the beginning. And as the experience of the most efficient economies have shown, the possibilities are immense.